But that's not the only rookies we're talking about because it's Thursday. And you know what that means? It's time for prospecting with the Welsh, with Chris Welsh, who knows a thing or two about prospects. So, Welsh, who are the prospects down on the farm that y'all want to talk about today?
Well, we won't be talking about Arovis Martinez because he was called up.
That's right.
He's up in the mate and not playing, by the way. I think they said they're going to play him this weekend. They didn't like the matchup, so that's a great start.
That's really exciting.
I know. Ooh, yay. We're not going to target James Wood yet, but Dylan Cruz has been called up to AAA to join him, so that outfield is incredible. We'll see when we get the hashtag free James Wood in the near future, but it is not today. So here are some thoughts. One of the most prolific young hitters so far in the minor leagues has not been somebody that you would expect. If I'm like, hey, who are the top guys? You're probably going to rattle off everybody but this guy's name because he was once a Diamondback, then a Guardian, back to a Diamondback, and he's now in AAA, Dayvision De Los Santos, who we've talked about a few different times. Here's what's really interesting. De Los Santos, originally a third baseman, has done some first, was playing some outfield, destroying the minor leagues. Well, things might be changing. He had not been playing third base at all this year, but in AAA, he now has 6 games logged at third base in AAA, and that is important because the Diamondbacks are kind of out on Eugenio Suarez. They are,
with good reason too.
Yeah, local radio is kind of getting ready with him. And then what else happened? Jordan Lawler got hurt again, who was working at third base. So this might be the opening, especially with De Los Santos, because of his bat. Over the last 30 days, he's hitting .309, 6 homers. He's got 9 doubles. He's cut down the strikeout rate, immense crazy power. I really think they're setting themselves up that maybe De Los Santos can be their Suarez. He doesn't have the defensive prowess, but they probably want to get that bat in the lineup. So with him at AAA, with the Diamondbacks playing him in AAA at third base, and Eugenio Suarez probably a couple weeks away from probably getting it designated for assignment, I think we could see De Los Santos soon, and he could play in a couple different spots. So you're looking for big power in that Diamondbacks lineup, in a big offensive lineup where there's going to be, runners in front. That might be the guy.
They could use that. They could use that thump in the middle of the order. Look, they signed Suarez. They brought him in there to be that. They knew where they were getting. A guy who's going to have a low batting average will give some pop, but it just hasn't worked out. And I picked up De Los Santos weeks ago. In fact, I think when you made the first piece here about him on prospecting with the Welsh, and I went and I watched some more tape on him, and I was very impressed. And then he got bumped up, I think not too long after that, to the AAA level. So I'm all for it. I think they should bring him up. And you're right, the Lawler injury really did open things up. Who else is opening eyes for you down the minor league?
Yeah, and the biggest change is the third base. He's playing third base again. And I think
the Lawler thing was like, okay, well, maybe we can move Lawler over there and get him up there. But Lawler's going to be on for what? It was a couple weeks with the hamstring.
Yeah, right? And then it'll be back to it. So him playing third base is kind of the big change here. All right, here's a couple pitchers we can take a look at. You guys know of Shane Baz, so I wanted to bring up Shane Baz in this world. Over his last 2 starts, he's gone 11 innings. He went 5 and then 6, struck out 18 and only walked 3. And here's the big deal, because walks, they had been kind of a thing for him, but he had just 1 in his last outing. He was stacking walks across the board. In his last start, went and took a look behind the scenes, he was sitting around 96, which you love to see, and he had 14 whiffs in that last start. So Shane Baz has been a little bit dicey. I think we're on the precipice. I think he was even lined up to be a guy that could pitch like today. He's not, but I think maybe early next week. So if you want to stash Shane Baz because he's out there, because people are like, what the hell's going on? You could do that. Another one who has never reached the majors, and this would be hilarious if they do it, Pirates, Brandon Ashcroft. But Welsh, we have Jared Jones. We have Paul Skeens. You know what? Let's just get the whole set of rookies out there, because Ashcroft is in AAA. On the year, he's got a 3.06 ERA. Great. 1.06 whip. Awesome. And he just got pushed up to AAA. He's got 2 starts under his belt where he's given up only 6 hits, 1 earned run, struck out 8 over 10 innings. He's got a mid-90s fastball, a high 80s slider, which in his last start, he had a 60% whiff rate on that slider. And that rotation's kind of jacked up. They don't even have a full set of 5 starters. No one coming out here in the near future. I think Ashcroft is a guy that could get in that lineup, maybe even at the expense of send Jared Jones down for 2 weeks or tapering down, but they've got to get some more arms in there. And I think Ashcroft would be a great pickup. And then, Joe, the last thing is we're actually seeing Jake Bloss, a AA pitcher for the Astros, get called up today. that has been something I brought up multiple times. Who or whom are players that could jump from AA? So here are two guys that I have written about before, but we're getting closer. Who could jump from AA to the majors here very soon? Someone said it just in the chat a second ago. Tampa Bay Rays, Carson Williams. He has the highest WRC plus of any player in AA right now. He's still being held down because it's the Rays. He's got 10 homers, 15 stolen bases while hitting .289. Jose Caballero is kind of come down a little bit. Batting average is still there, still some bases, but this might be a defensive upgrade putting Carson Williams in there. Plus the offense, I think he's a guy they could just make that jump to get in the lineup. And then Angels, Caden Dana, as far as a pitcher, young 20-year-old.
Back again, another guy you mentioned before.
Yeah, and part of the reason is I think they've had him here because they don't want to put him in the PCL. PCL can ruin confidence. Just overall, it's a bad thing for pitchers. And in some spaces, they still haven't moved him up. But guess what? He's going berserko. He has a 2.31 ERA. 20-year-old pitcher, 2.31 ERA. And he's coming off of a 7-inning, 9-strikeout performance in his last start. He's got a .93 whip. And the Angels are putting out Zach Plesac right now. So I think they've been holding him back on this performance because they don't want to put him into the environment of AAA. So I really do think, looking at that rotation, what they're putting out there, you might just see Dana make the jump here in the near future because they do need to make a move. You can't, what else are we learning in AA right now? Outside of if they don't want to start a clock and they just want to keep him down, you could do that. He's absolutely destroying AA. So I do think he's a player that could jump because that's what the Angels like to do. Those are the players that I'd be prospecting this week.
There you go, everybody. Make sure if you want more prospecting with the Welsh, you can always head over to fantasypros.com and check out all of his work there too.